to fiddle with different nomograms until you know what's best in your hands. And when you take a look at a keratoconus, at a cone, then you decide what to do with the ring. Sometimes you decide something which is totally different than the nomogram according to what you need to know, you need to do to this cornea. But very rarely in type 3 patients الحقيقة إن البيشنت يسوء، يعني إن أنت تحط intracorneal rings and the patient feels a deterioration. Even if this happens, the procedure is reversible وتقدر تشيلها على طول. The new games in the ring spectrum is allogenic implants, either in ready-made allogenic implant processed كيرا natural أو الكيرز لما you do it yourself. أو برضه من الحاجات الجديدة في الانتراكورنال رينجز الاسيمتريك سيجمنتس، والاسيمتريك سيجمنتس دي نوعين، لا اما the tapered segments، لا اما السيجمنتس اللي بيبقوا thick in the middle and thin on both sides، ودول بيجوا بمقاسات مختلفة ولهم indications مختلفة according to the topography of the patient. What is CARES بقى؟ CARES is corneal allogenic intrastomal ring segments. Basically it is a cornea, a natural cornea that you cut it in the form of rings. Either you process it بطرق كثيره جدا جدا عشان تضمن خالص longer shelf life وان هي تبقى preserved without any microbial contamination، او انك تعملها freshly and then you can implant it straight away. Two main types are available: the freshly prepared CARES, unprocessed fresh corneal tissue، او الكيرا ناتشرال اللي هي بتيجي والshelf life بتاعها 2 years. Why should we consider putting a natural cornea in a tunnel instead of the PMMA rings? The allogenic nature decreases the risk of complications such as overlying melts, necrosis, intrusion, extrusion, migration. وده الحقيقة this happens. طبعا this has decreased significantly, exponentially بعد femtosecond laser tunnel creation، ولكن الحقيقة لسه برضه موجودة. And I think it all depends upon the personal experience. ممكن جدا جراح كويس جدا جدا يحصل له necrosis أو infection أو whatever and then he decides never to put the ring again، ودول بيبقوا الناس اللي ضد الرينجز عادة يعني. The refractive and topographic effects are similar but with greater range of effect زي ما هنشوف دلوقتي كده. It's a much easier nomogram. It's a very very basic nomogram. أول واحدة حطت النوموجرام دي كانت ايلين سيليك في تركيا and they named it the Istanbul nomogram، وبعد كده it was modified by شادي عواد and colleagues طبعا and there's the عواد nomogram. Both are super simple الحقيقة. It was first described by Susan Jacob in 2015. She has a very يعني دي من الحاجات اللي أول ما الواحد سمعها فكر ازاي ما فكرش في الموضوع ده قبل كده. It's very very simple. She has a special trepine. It cuts this ring out of the cornea. The corneas that you use are very bad corneas that are not suitable for EKs. For inferior keratoplast is not suitable for that. It's not suitable for anything actually. فدول بيبقوا very cheap corneas and you can actually use them. You just remove the epithelium, remove the endothelium, and stick in a ring of the cornea that you have just fashioned. Staining of the segment is done and left to dry. Left to dry دي is the key point. يعني هي الكورنياز دي كلها يا جماعه بتبقى super soft and super squishy، وتدخينها في التانلز is not a walk in the park خالص، يعني بتتعمل بصعوبه. في بقى حاجات كتيره ممكن تتعمل عشان to make it much. It smells water, it imbibes water, it becomes softish, and then things become much more difficult. A femtotunnel is performed with 900 micron width. 900 micron width ده يعني الفرق ما بين الانر سيركل والاوتر سيركل 1.8 ملم عشان دي تتقسم على 2 فتبقى 900 micron width and 300 micron depth. طبعا الانيشال recommendations بتاعت الشركات بتاعت كيرز كانت much less than this in 250. Now we use 300 micron depth for a bunch of reasons. يعني منها ان الكونفورميتي بتاعت الرينج نفسها جوه التانل has to have a certain configuration to do the effect. Again, this is not plastic, this is not PMA, this is corneal tissue. فالإفكت بتاعه بيبقى أقل سنة صغيرة. One segment is inserted in asymmetric cones and two in symmetric cones. So it's very very easy. The trepine, it's really easy to use. It's a regular trepine. You trepine the cornea and you end up with a ring. You dissect this ring. بيعملوا منها straight rods, but they don't actually keep the ring architecture. They do straight rods and they leave it to dry. And then this straight rod, you stick it in the tunnel, and it's very very easy. Okay. Modifications, you can cross-linking of the ring can be carried out to increase the stiffness. The ring can be cut with a femtosecond laser طبعا وده الأحسن بقى من التريفاينيشن and actually you can get a graft and form like 7, 8, 10 rings منه. Customization of each segment to produce asymmetric taping ده الحقيقة الدكتور شادي عوض برضه لسه بيبتدي يعمل القصة دي وعمل نموذج جديد asymmetric tapering. Insertion with the Bowman side facing the corneal apex. هم لقوا ان دي احسن حاجه انك بتدخل الكورنيا corneal ring مش في الكونفيجريشن العادي ولكن perpendicular to the corneal surface and this produces different thickness of the segments and increasing the effect. فبالتالي الويدث of the ring اللي حضرتك بتاخده من الكورنيا هو ده اللي بيبقى الثيكنس بتاع او الدبث بتاع الرينج سيجمنت اللي انت بتحطه. Nomograms are super easy. حضراتكم لو بصيتوا عليها هتلاقوها سهله قوي 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 يعني. والنوموجرام اللي لونه ابيض اللي هو على الايد الشمال ده الاسطنبول نوموجرام. It was modified by شادي عواد اللي هو الكيرش بقى نوموجرام اللي on the right side اللي لونه يعني اللي لونه ده. and it is really really very easy to apply. So it looks super easy. So I decided to kick off الكلام ده الحقيقه كان في اكتوبر اللي فات. I had the first case. I've done 3 cases so far يعني. This was the first case, 27-year-old female. She had moderate keratoconus. The refraction بتاعها كان -5 sphere مع -4.5 cylinder. Axis 35. Her best corrected visual acuity was 0.2 فنقط بس هي دي بقى اللي بنبتدي بيها. فالحقيقه this was her series the tomography بتاعها. And as we can see here there is a Kmax of 61.42. حته في النص دي فشي a little bit more than the sub-cohort of patients that I implant intracorneal rings in. But I said, well, let's do this. The K1 was 52, the K2 was 57, basically, but we had a spot of Kmax 61.42. This keratoconus type is not symmetrical at all. It might look symmetrical, but you take a look at the central 3 millimeter zone and you'll definitely find that the inferior part of the 3 millimeter zone is the part that is really affected. This is basically surgery. You do the femtosecond tunnel. The things that I learned, you should not do a wide tunnel. This is one of the wider tunnels that I've done. And then I learned from Sherry Hayen, I should make it a little bit less. And this is the thing, if the cornea, was the first case, I did not dry the cornea. You can see at the it is difficult to insert it, okay? It's not easy. And this happened like 3 times. Until I held it much stronger. I used a spatula. I manned up. شربت بريل ودخلتها جامد قوي كده فقامت الحقيقه ما طلعتش تاني. It's not difficult, but again it is not a very easy procedure. And just feed it in. It looks bad at the end of the surgery. Surprisingly, this patient. You cannot detect that she has a ring النهارده او so says الophthalmologist بتاعها اللي بيتابعها لان she is from another country in Libya. The first post-operative day, this is what you see on an OCT. This was her OCT. Okay. So basically دي كانت من الحاجات اللي لما بعت ال OCTs دي للدكتور شادي. This OCT tells you a lot of things. أول حاجة, you should not aim for this very flat fusiform pattern. It should be a little bit more tight if you want more effect. And this is the MS39 that I've done this patient, and again it shows a lot of stuff. This patient had. خلينا نرجع كده وأنا ممكن أرجع مش كده. بصوا يا جماعة, this patient had the central corneal thickness of 418. This is something bad that you learn when you read about cares. And then the central corneal thickness of this patient now was 432, and it is in a place where we did not touch. يعني دي حتة بعيدة خالص عن الرينج نفسها, and this was only 1 week post-operatively. Again, we can see the ring. We can see. Do I have? This is the ring. مفيش pointer هنا على الشاشة. There's a lot of indices عشان كده كنت عايز بس. طيب تمام ممكن. صوتي عالي. ده ال MS39 and this is the corneal thickness, the total corneal thickness in epithelium and stroma. واللي تحت ده هو الستروما فقط لا غير. And these are the epithelial maps اللي موجودة هنا. And these are the epithelial maps اللي موجودة هنا. أول حاجة الحقيقة فوجئت بيها إن الكي فاليوز اللي هي كانت 57 و59 وكانت في بوينت الكي ماكس كانت 61.9 أو 62 أو حاجة زي كده. دول الكي فاليوز. كانت في الأربعينات وفي الثلاثينات. You actually had in the 3 millimeter zone, I think it was the 5 millimeter zone, the astigmatism 2.4. And this was only, I think, 1 week post-operatively. It was, I think, 1 week post-operatively. And they had it إسبوعين وسافرت. I did this midway. This is something that was really astonishing. الحاجة الثانية برضه أنا استغربتها قوي إن الابيثيليوم ده we had clip epithelium on the ring. Okay? And this is something that has been reported. يعني أنا لما قلت الكلام ده برضه الدكتور شادي عوض بعت لي بقى البيبرز بتاعته كلها. And بيبقى عندهم حاجه اسمها segmental tomography, and the segmental tomography بتاعهم ده لا ان الابيثيليوم actually thickens on the surface of the ring, and then there is a transitional zone between the ring itself and the central part of the apex of the cornea, and this transitional zone هي اللي بتعمل الشغل كله والregularization, and the epithelium was found to increase in this transitional zone significantly. بس اخد وقت طويل. فهو ده اللي ال 7 ملم optical zone there's astigmatism is 1.8, and in a 5 mm optical zone it was 2.4. Again, this is الريبورت الكامل اللي بيطلع من MS39, and you can see the epithelial thickness. The epithelium on the other side or opposite the ring, this is the ring, on the opposite side of the ring is much less, but this epithelium with time over the next 3 months again it increases. And this again has been shown in all the studies that have been published. This is the segmental tomography. You have clear zones. You have the care zone. You have the area opposite اللي هي الحتة اللي فيها الهاشتاجز الخضراء. And this is where you get very thin epithelium post-operatively, and then the epithelium regrows over the next 3 months. وفي الحتة اللي هي ال 1 millimeter band central to the ring segment, this is where the epithelium grows again and sort of regularizes the cornea. You end up with much lower K values and a thicker central part of the cornea, or the thinnest location of the cornea. كله متلخبط مش عارف. خلاص انا مش عايز الكرسي ده يا جماعه، خليني اطلع الصوت ده ولا next. What? Oh, thank you. This was the eye trace done for the very same patient, and as you can see, the refraction, the tracy refraction is +3 sphere with a -2.5 diopters of cylinder. 2 weeks post-operatively, وده كان في يوم 15 أكتوبر. The refraction was +3 -2 axis 80. The best corrected visual acuity was 0.7. 0.7 فهنا كانت شايفه 0.2 best corrected visual acuity. انا بصراحه كنت مستغرب من النتيجه. And this is not what you get with an intracorneal ring segment. وبنقول للمريض لسه بتقعد الرينج تغير في شكل القرنيه بتاعتك على مدى 6 أسابيع، بعدين نعمل ريفراكشن جديد وهكذا. The eye was super quiet. The patient had to travel back home. هي كانت من ليبيا. I had a recent communication with their ophthalmologist, and he reported again 0.7. مفيش أي حاجة أحسن من كده يعني. And he reports that the intracorneal ring segment is hardly seen. I think CARES is here to stay. It can be done with the ready-made rings, the Cara Natural, or customized by the femto laser machine. If so, we can fashion 5 rings plus. يعني 5 rings ده أقل رقم تقدر تعمله from low quality corneas, not suitable for transplants. لو نقدر نعمل القصه دي بقى من الكورنيا سكير باتنز بعد ما بنعمل كيراتوبلاستي، بس للاسف احنا بنبقى شغالين على 8.5، فبتبقى يعني المتبقي من الكورنيا قليل ان احنا نقدر نعمل منهم رينجز. The nomograms are super easy، ما فيهمش اي تفكير خالص. and most importantly it works. يعني انا العيانه دي الثلاث عيانين اللي انا عملتهم الحقيقه واحد منهم انا مش متاكد قوي if it worked or not، بس الاثنين it really made a big difference زي ما حضرتك شايفين من point 2 ل point 7. Thank you so much.
طيب سؤال بس، رايك ايه في combining allogenic rings and the standard intracorneal rings in one eye؟
دكتور عادل بربار عنده برزنتيشن عن الموضوع ده، هو عامل الحقيقه 3 حالات. He has been doing برضه cares for quite some time. دكتور عادل بربار هو he is a Palestinian guy who lives in Haifa. يعني he has a very long history in treatment of irregular corneas. عنده he actually has a proprietary ring of in his name يعني, and he uses it with cares. والحقيقه عنده برضه specific indications للموضوع ده according to the corneal topography. بس المشكله ان هو بيشتغل باوب سكان، فعشان كده الحالات بتاعته ما بنقدرش ان احنا نقول دي هتبقى شكلها عامل ازاي لو احنا عملنا الكلام ده بشانك لوب بنتا كام او بكومبايند سي اس او. بس هي لا it has been يعني